Welcome to the Think Forward podcast, where we speak with futurists, innovators, and big thinkers. Come along with your host, Steve Fisher, and explore the future together.
Welcome back to Foundations and Foresight, a Think Forward series. I'm Steve Fisher, and today we're going deeper into World Mosaic, the massive shift in how power, economics, and influence flow across the globe. In our last episode, we talked about how globalization is giving way to a more fragmented world, where economies, trade networks, and even digital spaces are no longer operating under one unified system. Instead, we're seeing regional economic blocs, competing financial systems, and new centers of cultural and technological influence emerging. The old model of a single dominant world order? It's fading. So now comes the next big question. How do we operate in this new reality? How do businesses succeed in a world where different regions have different rules, different economic models, and different cultural expectations? How do investors make smart decisions when the best opportunities aren't just in the usual places? And how do individuals position themselves for success when opportunities aren't tied to just one dominant economy or career path? That's what we're unpacking today. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clearer roadmap for how to navigate this fragmented world, whether you're running a company, investing in the future, or figuring out your own career strategy. Let's dive in. For a long time, businesses operated with a pretty straightforward global strategy. If you were a multinational company, you'd set up shop in major economic hubs, New York, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, and from there, expand into new markets using a standardized approach. But that strategy doesn't work anymore. We're living in a time where each region is developing its own economic priorities, regulatory environments, and trade networks. That means businesses that want to stay competitive have to customize their approach for different regions rather than assuming a single global strategy will work everywhere. Take manufacturing, for example. For years, the go-to strategy was simple. Set up factories in China, where labor was cheap, and ship products worldwide. But now, trade tensions, supply chain disruptions, and rising wages in China have forced companies to rethink where and how they produce goods. More companies are turning to regional supply chains, setting up manufacturing hubs closer to where products are sold. Instead of one massive global operation, businesses are creating smaller, more flexible networks that reduce risk and increase resilience. The same thing is happening in technology and finance. Governments are tightening data privacy laws, changing how companies handle information in different regions. The European Union has strict digital regulations. China has built its own internet ecosystem, and countries like India are developing homegrown tech industries to reduce dependence on Silicon Valley. If you're running a tech company, you can't just launch one platform and expect it to work the same way everywhere. You have to navigate multiple regulatory landscapes, multiple digital economies, and multiple consumer expectations. And for businesses that rely on financial transactions across borders, the shift is even bigger. The dominance of the US dollar in global trade is being challenged. Some countries are developing their own digital currencies to bypass traditional banking systems. Crypto and decentralized finance are creating alternative financial networks that operate outside of traditional government control. That means businesses and investors can't just assume the financial rules they're used to will apply everywhere. They have to be adaptable, build in redundancy, and be prepared to operate in multiple financial systems. This is the new reality. Global business isn't about a single unified strategy anymore. It's about agility, regional expertise, and knowing how to operate across multiple shifting economic landscapes. For investors, the best opportunities are also shifting. For years, if you wanted to invest in growth, you focused on the major financial hubs, New York, London, Tokyo. But now, some of the fastest growing economies aren't in those traditional centers anymore. Countries like Vietnam, Indonesia, and India are becoming global manufacturing and tech hubs. Africa's fintech sector is booming, with cities like Lagos and Nairobi leading the way in mobile payments and financial inclusion. The Middle East is investing heavily in smart cities, AI, and post-oil economies, positioning itself as more than just an energy exporter. The real advantage now comes from understanding emerging markets before they reach mainstream attention. Investors who see the potential in Africa's digital economy, Southeast Asia's rising middle class, and India's rapidly growing startup ecosystem will be ahead of the curve. And then there's the decentralization of finance itself. Traditional banks and stock markets still dominate, but we're seeing more money flow into alternative financial systems, from blockchain-based economies to direct peer-to-peer lending networks. China is already using its digital yuan for international trade, reducing its dependence on the US dollar. Crypto and DeFi platforms are making it possible to move capital across borders in entirely new ways. For investors, the biggest risk isn't volatility. It's assuming that the old rules still apply. The smartest players are the ones diversifying, looking beyond the usual markets and staying ahead of the shifts happening in financial power. And what about individuals? If businesses need new strategies and investors need new playbooks, what does all of this mean for careers and personal opportunities? The most important shift is this. Your career is no longer tied to one economy, one company, or one location. The industries that were dominant in one era might not be in the next. The companies that were considered safe bets a decade ago might not even exist 10 years from now. That means the ability to work across multiple economic and cultural environments is becoming a massive advantage. If you can understand different business landscapes, navigate different digital ecosystems, and build connections across multiple regions, you'll have more opportunities than those who stay locked into a single market. Another big shift? The rise of decentralized and remote work. Companies are no longer just hiring within their own borders. They're looking for talent globally. If you have a skill that can be done remotely, your job market isn't just your city or country, it's the entire world. The ability to work across time zones, cultures, and digital platforms is becoming one of the most valuable career skills of the future. And finally, understanding new financial systems is just as important as understanding new job markets. With crypto, digital currencies, and alternative banking models on the rise, knowing how to move between different financial environments will give you an edge. Whether you're an entrepreneur, an investor, or just someone looking to protect and grow your wealth in a time of global economic shifts. The key takeaway: success in this new world depends on flexibility, adaptability, and cross-cultural fluency. So where do we go from here? World Mosaic isn't just a shift in which countries have power. It's a shift in how power, influence, and opportunity move across the world. The old model of globalization, where everything flowed through a few dominant hubs, is fading. Instead, we're entering a world where success depends on being able to operate across multiple, constantly evolving systems. So here's your challenge. Take a look at your business, your investments, or your career. Are you still operating under old assumptions about globalization, or are you preparing for a world where agility, regional knowledge, and the ability to move between different economic systems are the keys to success? In our next episode, we'll explore how leadership is evolving in this decentralized world, how the best leaders today aren't just making top-down decisions, but guiding, collaborating, and adapting to fast-changing environments. Until then, keep exploring, questioning, and as always, think forward.
Thanks for listening to the Think Forward podcast. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms and at www.thinkforwardshow.com, as well as on YouTube under Think Forward Show. See you next time.